If you want to make sure you stay in good conversation, you gotta tune in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. That's me. Thursday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on the only station, WHPR TV 33. See you soon. Amazing Friday to you. Rise and shine, up and at 'em. It's a phenomenal new day with infinite possibilities. You have to know that. You have to believe that. That is the energy and the spirit that you have. Or at least that's what I'm trying to give you this morning. You're officially tuned in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. I am Collette, and you all know I do my curtsy because, that's my sign of reverence to you guys. Because I know, as I always state every week, that you could be anywhere. You could be doing anything. You could be watching anything. But you make the conscious decision to tune in to WHBR TV 33, or whether you're watching us on Comcast or Roku or streaming live, you know that this conversation is going to what? Educate, enlighten, and empower you. Even if you don't agree, you'll have something that makes you go, something that'll make you think about it. And I just have to tell you, there's this, if you all are in social media, I know a lot of you aren't, but if you are on social media, there's this little clip, and it's probably been out for a while. I'm probably not as savvy and quick as a lot of you, but there's this clip, and it's this little boy in the back seat of a car, and I guess either it's the vibration in the car, he's in his car seat, or the music, and he starts moving. It's like he's bouncing, and he starts moving his hips, and then all of a sudden, I guess he realized that he's having momentum, and he starts smiling, and he puts his hands up, and he's just smiling, and that's how I feel. Like when I'm here with you, preparation for coming here, I am so elated. I am overjoyed of the possibilities of our conversations, you all. And I want you to be excited too. Realize that your mindset sets the tone. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what's in front of you. I don't care what the scenario looks like. I don't care what narrative you have bought in from someone else. You have to know, as my dad says, all is well with me and mine. Period. You have to know that. And when you know that, and when you walk in that, it doesn't make a difference what's coming at you. Dodge. Okay, dodges. I'm gonna move this out the way. Remember, like the snake. Y'all remember that? That's just what you do, because it's all good, everybody. When we deal in our truths and we have the real conversations, then we do not have to be hoodwinked about any aspect of our lives. Right? I just had to say that. I needed that disclaimer for us this morning because we're going to continue the conversation. Yesterday, I chose to create a conversational space for us where we honored the 50-plus year legacy of leadership for Congressman John James Conyers Jr. I didn't care about if you thought he was as effective as he should be. I didn't care about if you thought he didn't pass as many bills as he should have. I didn't care about even if you believed in the allegations against him. I didn't care about any of that. My position yesterday was to honor an individual that the citizens of this great region have elected and selected to be their leader for the congressional district that started off as the 1st, moved to the 13th, moved to the 14th. And I thank you all who listened to my request to just give feedback about what that has looked like for us, what that has looked like for you. Sometimes it is just that simple to honor a situation just for what it is. And so that's what I asked us to do yesterday. That's what I asked us to look and create an empathy, because I can't imagine at 88, me being who I believe I am, and if I'm a community steward, if I'm a leader for the people have consistently chosen me. And then at 88, when it's time for me, I didn't even have the option actually to sit down. I was told, based on the circumstances, I believe, that it's time for you to sit down. And so I sit down. So at 88, I had to retire based off of sexual allegations. But the truth is, this week it's 3 individuals had to sit down, right? So Franken had to sit down, but we're going to get to him because he wasn't going down without a fight, okay? So we're going to get to his conversation because he just let it be known that, hey, you know what? Something around here, it's something happening in Denmark, is what he said, you know. It's something smelly going on, and I just need to understand how I got to sit it down, and we got a president who's not sitting it down. We have someone else more who's not sitting it down, but I got to sit it down? I'm sure the congressman felt that same way, too. We're going to talk about that today. So the general conversation for us this morning, it's going to lead into a lot of other things. So this first hour, it leads off as, does sex rule the world? From Congressman John Conyers to President Trump. What's next? So, is all of this, is every aspect, I'm talking about from political to business to community, is it all a conversation of having a certain level of power that influences you to get a reward as you see it? Attract a certain type of individual? Being able to yield your will onto someone else? Last week we talked about socialization, gender socialization, how men are groomed into what manhood looks like and prowess looks like and what makes a strong man, and how women are indoctrinated into what is masculine, and he's supposed to be able to take care of you, and he's supposed to be able to provide for you, and he's supposed to, and what we look at and how that shapes how we think and how we lose our voice in scenarios because we believe that we don't have the power. The Bible tells you that the woman is of the man. So a lot of us believe that if we are of him, then we are not to be able to have, and I'm going to say it, I had to catch myself. We're not supposed to have an equal voice. We're not supposed to have an opinion about what can happen with us. Because I'm from you, and the man is supposed to lead and head the house. And I went somewhere else with it. I don't know if that's where you wanted to go, but I went somewhere because I'm going to add that to the conversation this morning. But does it all boil down to our innate desire to conquer? And so that's what gets men to do what they do, and that's what gets women to do what they do. And so these umpteenth years later, that it's still brewing in a lot of scenarios, and then it comes out. And so then you have all these so-called powerful individuals who now are falling over by the wayside. It's like David with Goliath and the slingshot. So they're just getting popped off one by one. Excuse me. And it's across racial lines. It's across socioeconomic lines. It's across political lines. And so don't you wonder what it's going to look like now? So if you had 2 Democrats that had to sit down this week, you had 1 Republican that had to sit down next week. We're going to talk about him. He had to sit down amid sexual allegations as well. We had 3 this week. And then you have a president who has consistently talked about, and you all heard the clip of what he grabs and what he does. Do you think now we're going to ask him to sit down? If he's not asked to sit down, if he doesn't offer to sit down, what is that going to show you about these Americas? Are you going to believe it any different? Are you going to still feel strong about that democracy? And then at the top of the hour, if you all want to sprinkle it in to this conversation, we're going to talk about what's next for the congressional seat. Some people are predicting it's going to be a free-for-all. Let me just tell you all this. The first thing that came to my mind when I was listening to Congressman Conyers on his interview was that you know who should run for that seat. You want to know who I was thinking? Actually, I was thinking Coleman Young. I was thinking that, you know what? If he falls in line with the district, he's going to put his hat in. He's going to put his hat in. Why not? Because he had just come off of the exposure from a mayoral run. He's still current sitting senator. Congressional move. And lo and behold, I think that's in the makings. We're going to throw out some of the names. And I want to know from you who you think. And do you believe And actually, what do you believe the qualifications should be? For so long, we've played into the if they followed the process, if they have started off as a council member, if they started off on the school board, and then they went up, they matriculated. Now, with the onset of Donald Trump, people just do whatever they want, right? So I got a little expertise in business, so I think I could run the world. And that's just literally what happened. And if you create a message and people believe it, you can then have that seat. So do you think that all the pomp and circumstance matters? Has it yielded the results that you've wanted over this whole time? When you've chosen people who've been from political families or have names and or have experience and or have the education and the experience? And callers I see, I'm going to get to you. Let me give you our numbers if you don't have them. 313-868-0342. 313-868-0351. And 313-868-4336. And then I'm going to sprinkle in a little, holiday cheer too. I believe we're going to have the Gilmore Experience back in the building. I know that he was working on this eggnog cake, an eggnog pound cake, and a white macadamia pound cake. Man, let me just tell you. So I just want to keep us festive. So that's probably going to be after the top of the hour as well, because it's Friday. We want to have that kind of little experience, something that's titillating to the taste buds. I just want to be able to give it all to you. I want you to be able to get all of it when you tune in for these 2 hours with me, because it's really all about us. So what I'm going to do, callers, I see you. I want you all to stay right there. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to go to a clip. I want Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee stood before the congressional floor and read the resignation letter from our own Congressman Conyers. So I wanted us to start off with hearing those words, okay? So let's go to the clip.
He has asked me, a member of the Judiciary Committee, to offer his words to his colleagues and to again put this statement in the record that indicates that he has notified Speaker Ryan, Leader Pelosi, and Governor Snyder of my retirement from the United States House of Representatives. It is important to note, as I begin, that there is no difference or no undermining of the rights of women and the abhorrence of sexual harassment and sexual assault. But this is a statement that I believe should be read on behalf of the Dean of the United States Congress, Mr. John Conyers. As a member of Congress, I have known Mr. Conyers to not shy away from a legislative challenge. In addition to being the first member to introduce the Martin Luther King holiday bill, he was the first to hold hearings on police misconduct, the first to examine the problem of solitary confinement, the first to offer racial profiling legislation, the first to introduce legislation protecting against disenfranchisement of ex-felons, and the first to pursue legislation protecting black farmers from discrimination, among many other civil rights measures. In 2007, Representative Conyers stood up for the prerogatives of the House of Representatives, successfully brought a suit against a former President Bush White House for failing to comply with subpoenas relating to U.S. Attorney's investigation. He has been the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and he will continue to, in his life, as he has indicated, stand for what is right. It is now my privilege to read this statement from Mr. John Conyers. I reiterate that he says that he notified Speaker Ryan, Leader Pelosi, and Governor Snyder of his retirement from the United States House of Representatives. It is his honor, these are his words, and his privilege to serve the constituents of Detroit, Michigan, as their United States Congressman in the 13th and 14th Congressional Districts for 53 years. He came to Congress, this is his statement again, I came to Congress in 1964. Since then, I have devoted my entire career to improving the lives of my constituents in Detroit on the behalf of justice everywhere. These years witnessed a profound evolution in civil rights, led by millions in the streets who marched for justice and people of conscience in the Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, who heard them and enacted the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and other landmark reforms. I've been in the forefront of the civil rights movement. I've been a champion of justice for the oppressed and the disenfranchised. I never wavered in my commitment to justice and democracy. I am proud to have been part of that rich history. I have been privileged to be a founder of the Congressional Black Caucus and to represent the United States Congress by being dean. I passed, as indicated, the law dealing with Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, the Violence Against Women's Act, the Hate Crimes Act, the USA Freedom, and the extension of the Voting Rights Act. I have led the fight against mandatory minimums, hoping to reverse the devastating incarceration rates for African Americans and poor people. I've tried to pass a universal health care law, H.R. 676. Every Congress since 1989, I have introduced H.R. 40 to study reparations for slavery, and I deeply appreciate those handful of courageous colleagues who have joined me. For Detroiters, I'm proud that we have been able to accomplish to bring hundreds of millions of dollars in critical grants and federal funding for Southeast Michigan to revitalize our great city, attract rich talent, and return to us prosperity. I recognize that in this present environment, due process will not be afforded to me. I was taught by my great woman, my mother, to honor women. The first employee I ever hired was Mrs. Rosa Parks, who worked in my office for 22 years. It has been my great honor to work alongside some of the most talented and honorable staff on Capitol Hill and in Detroit. I've stated my position on these allegations. I've worked with both women and men. Given the totality of the circumstance of not being afforded the right of due process in conjunction with current health conditions and to preserve my legacy and good name, I am retiring. I hope that my retirement will be viewed in the larger perspective of my record of service as I enter a new chapter. I pledge to continue my commitment to a progressive vision and a better future for this country that I love. I owe that to the legacy of my father, John Conyers Sr., who integrated labor unions in this country, to my brother Nathan, who integrated business, and he is my main man, and to my loving wife Monica, and to my sons John III, whom I believe offers hope to this generation of leadership, and who is committed to being an advocate of fairness and justice for all, and Carl Edward, who never leaves my side. I cannot allow the great work of this body to be distracted by their important work, or from their important work, or the goals of the Democratic Party to be distracted. It has been an honor and a privilege of my life to represent the people of Michigan in the House of Representatives, but that responsibility will now fall to my colleagues and my successor. They have my deepest support and prayers: jobs, justice, and peace.
There we have it. That is a statement from our own dean, Congressman John James Conyers, Jr., who stated that he was not afforded due process based off of the allegations, based off what it looks like, and in the efforts of ensuring his legacy. He wants to try to control now the narrative and the conversation of what he has done, as opposed to in political spaces versus the allegations that were made. Now, do you all think that it matters? Does it matter to you? And I'm not stating, as the Congresswoman stated earlier, I'm not dismissing the conversation from women who believe that they were harassed. I'm not dismissing that. I believe that everyone should have due process. I believe that anyone who feels that they are mistreated or manipulated, whatever words you want to use, coerced, intimidated, in any situation, that is not acceptable. Let me just say that. I want to say that. But in the culture of this America, does it matter to you? Does it matter? For all these individuals that have come up, 3 of them have come up this week now that have resigned. There are conversations that there are some monies on Capitol Hill that are used to pay off such scenarios. That it's kind of like a culture, maybe perhaps understood. Does that matter to you? And so much so, maybe just the conversation in and of itself is what led Congressman to sit down. From the statement from Senator Al Franken, and let me just let you all know, he was the gentleman who used to be on Saturday Night Live. He was a comedian, you know, and then he's from Minnesota. And let me tell you what he states. I, of all people, am aware that there is some irony in the fact that I am leaving while a man who has bragged on tape about his history of sexual assault sits in the Oval Office, and a man who has repeatedly preyed on young girls campaigns for the Senate with the full support of his party. Bingo. So, the underlying component of that, which was out of the Washington Post, states Trump has been accused by a dozen women of groping and forced sexual encounters. Moore, who will face voters in next week's Alabama special election, has been accused of sexually harassing and assaulting teenagers while he was in his 30s. So, what does that say to you? Does it matter to you? And at the end of all of it, do you think it's going to be fair and equitable as it pertains to what is next in this nation for leadership? And is that a factor? Do we consider those things factors when we're trying to go throughout our daily lives? Is that important to you? Are the sexual allegations important to you? Do you figure it's just par for the course? Is the conversation, oh, well, they knew, that's what happens anywhere. I just want to know, like, are we, again, the narrative that is shaped for us, do you buy into that? And then how does that now cause us to look at a now open seat? Who do you want to fill the seat? What does that look like for you? Where will it go? Where does it go? Or do you not even really care about that from a pomp and circumstance type of thing? Because I actually believe that most people don't even understand what the political office holders do. They don't know the charters. They don't have an understanding of the deliverables. They don't know who actually administers the operational components and the administrative components of government versus who writes the policy. I don't even believe that the majority of us know that if there's something happening, that there's a constituent representative that you can call that is from your city council, that is from your state representative, that is from your state senator's office, that's from your congressional member's office, that you can call to get some kind of help and relief. And even if we knew that, I'd want to know how many of you actually exercise that. And even from your Wayne County Commissioner seat, how many of you all exercise that option? That they're supposed to be there to serve you. So we want to sit and have conversations about if they were adequate enough, if they did what they were supposed to do, if they passed enough bills, but did we push the envelope to make our issues known, to make our voices heard, or was it just lip service? Because we're really so good at lip service. Like we do that really well. We'll sit and talk in the background all day about what they haven't done. But did you bring something to their attention? You just assumed that they were supposed to know just because they're supposed to fight for your behalf, but they're supposed to know all the issues that are important to you. And so as we prepare, because lots of candidates, I'm not going to throw out any names yet. I'm going to give us a few minutes before we start talking about names that have been thrown into the fray, whether it was confirmed or not, of who potentially would be a candidate for consideration from the people's vote, for the people's vote. But if we don't have our thoughts together, if we don't have our mindset together, then the truth is we don't even have a voice in it. Like we don't have a dog in the race because you don't even know what you're asking the person to do for you. It's just based on the conversations that they know we're familiar with. So someone will come up to you and say, oh, I'm going to fight for insurance. How long have you heard people in this town who currently hold office say they're going to fight for insurance, say they've been fighting for reprieve in insurance, and still haven't gotten it? And everyone says, oh, but that sounds good because they say that they're fighting. At some point, don't you want a result? Or does it not even matter? Do you not even care about that? I want to know. I'm going to momentarily go to another clip. It gives an interesting spin. You all know Morning Joe. It gives an interesting spin on his opinion, their opinion about what has been happening with these allegations, and specifically as it pertains to Congressman Conyers. And I just want to know, like, where are we in this scenario? And I'm about to go to the lines. I just wanted to put that out there to you. And is it a factor? Do you even know? Like, are you saddened by where we are, the state of this political positioning? Or do you figure, well, that's just what you get, and I'm just going to let it roll? Or am I just shocked? Is that an impetus for having these people sit down? Or why aren't the issues of poor schools for someone to be held accountable? Why isn't the issue of water, contaminated poisonous water, an issue? Why is it not an issue for equal employment? Adequate housing, fair financing. So is that not enough to then hold people accountable in their areas of influence and power to then remove them from office if they're not doing what they're supposed to do? And if there's an allegation, then that's enough to remove someone. What do you think? Why do you think that is? A sexual allegation. And let me just say, as it pertains to Congressman Conyers, I thought this young lady got a check. So if she got a check, in all due respect, I thought you were supposed to hush up. Now, I just thought that's how it works. That if this is what I allege and you all agree, or I want it to go away and I get a check, then how do I come back up again and say, okay, no, I'm bringing it back up again? I mean, I want to know. Like, is it about the money? Is it all about the money? Oh, so maybe that's where we need to get to. Does all of this boil down to the money? Because the truth is, we don't even understand the power that we have. Let me just say that. We don't. We don't understand power. If we understood power, we wouldn't have actively let the congressman sit down. You all didn't let, and Dingle has been around just as long as Conyers, and he was able to choose what he wanted to do. No one brought up his history, in all due respect, Congressman. But Congressman Dingle was married. He met his wife. She was a staffer. He's what, 15 years her senior? I'm asking. Then okay, things happen. Then they're married. Then some years later, when he decides he wants to sit it down, she ascends into the position. What does that look like to you? But that's okay. Did anyone say anything about that? Or are you going to say, well, Collette, it was probably consensual, but that's how it happens. But he wasn't asked to sit down. I'm asking. If there was a scenario and Monica, Mrs. Conyers, had a problem with it, should that be all that mattered? If she had a problem with it and she's going to have a conversation about it, then okay. Is that any different than Kwame Malik Kilpatrick and his scenario and his infidelity? If Carlita Kilpatrick, Mrs. Kilpatrick, had a problem with it, then that's something that they dealt with. Should have spewed out into public scrutiny. Did it have an impact on his ability to govern this city? Did it have an impact on Congressman Conyers' ability to govern? Senator Frankel's ability to govern? The president's ability to govern, if he has that ability? Do you all think about it that way? Or maybe you don't. Or maybe you don't know why or what you think. You just fall into it because that's what the media narrative tells you. That, oh, it's bad and women are abused. People are abused every day. Poor and disfranchised are abused every day. Every day. We're not up in arms about that. Killings every day. We're not up in arms about it. Continuous poisoning. People not up in arms about it. High school students reading at a second and third grade level. We're not up in arms about it. The people that have been governing us, we don't hold them accountable, haven't held them accountable, haven't looked like us. It's just like being in a plantation without the shackles. So America has been set up like a big plantation. And so you have that governing body, that 8% that has set the tone in all industry. And we just sit and fall in line with what they say we're supposed to do. And then we allow them to dictate what's important to us, what's of value to us. And so now we've been told that these allegations are so important and it's so valuable that now you all will be removed from your duties because of the allegations. Is anyone even questioning if there's any truth in the allegations? But I guess that's what happens in America. It doesn't have to be true as long as you say it and that's what you believe it to be and it shapes your narrative. So, because I need to remove these things, because I need to remove the longest sitting black man in office in America, because I don't want him to have that power, but even if he doesn't even understand what to really do with the power. I did a show, you all recall, about a year or so ago, and I talked about the monies that are created from Congress. People go to Congress to become millionaires. They go to set up deals. They go to establish businesses and trickle down wealth and resources to their families. Y'all remember, I gave a list. The top ones, net worth $2 million coming out of California. I'm going to bring the list up. And then we had our own Congressman Conyers that was down at the bottom because he wasn't using that space to manipulate and create wealth for himself. He was actually there to try to serve. And what was his net worth? It was like $100,000. And so we let them create a narrative that set them to the side. And then I'm going to say this again. And then we allowed, because yes, we did, shame on you all. Let me say, whoever is in that inner circle, in the Conyers inner circle, shame on y'all for ever letting the appearance of dissension present itself. I don't care what it looks like. You should have sat down with Ian. Senator Ian Conyers, you should have sat down with him. Senator, you should have sat down with them and the congressman and the first lady and the son, John, and you all should have sat down in a room and all of your handlers and determine what this looks like. We need a united front. Who is the best candidate, who has the best experience, who has the best credentials, who has the best positioning, and everyone, this is our dog we're putting in the race. This is who it's going to be. Everyone's going to agree, and then we're going to make this announcement to the world that this is what it looks like for the Conyers family. Do you all realize what it shows if you have the nephew who jumped on out, he said he's running, and then you have the congressman who endorses his son. So the rest of the people say, you know what, if there is something that's happening over there, they don't have it together. So now I got a shot, man. I'm going to shoot my shot because they don't have it together. You got two Conyers that are going to be in the race? Okay, so we can split them votes. And I can come in as this dark horse. I can come right on in position as this dark horse. And before you know it, because they're splitting the vote, then I'm going to come in and I'm going to shoot my shot. But that's always what we do. We can't agree to sit down and figure out anything in a room to save our lives. We can't. Because we always think that, okay, if it has to be me. Okay, well, no, it should be me. And I'll tell you all, then I'm going to go to the lines. I know all the lines are let you all know we have time. There was a conversation previous to this election in the city of Highland Park for mayor. I was invited to sit in a room. I was sitting in a room with influencers, and they were discussing potential candidates for the position. And they asked, the question was asked, does anyone have anyone that they would like? Who would you like to see in the position? And so there's some people stood up and said Collette. We would like to see Collette in that position. And so, mind you, I'm sitting in the room now. And they went on to expound upon who they believe me to be and the work that I've done and the experiences that I've had and why they believe that I would be a great candidate for this city. And then someone else stood up. And someone said, yes, she's smart, but she's not a Highland Parker. The people don't know her. And that was it. So I'm smart. I wasn't native born to Highland Park, and the people don't know me. And so they went back and forth, and the truth, it was a generational thing, because the people who were throwing my name in the hat are in their 30s, 20s, 30s. The individual who said, okay, yeah, that's great, they are in their 60s. That group was in their 60s. And so after they went back and forth with some things, and then I finally stood up, and I said, you know what? The truth about all of it is, it doesn't make me a difference. Because no matter what, I know what I know. I'm going to continue to do what I do. I'm going to say what I want to say. And I understand it to be what it is. And the truth is, it is for the will of the people. So if we are in the situations that we're in, it's because the people decided, one way or another, whether you did the research and got the right information, or you didn't do the research and you just wanted to choose a name. But you got what you wanted. And so I hope it works out for you. And so on today, as we are looking at all of this, everything about what it looks like, you got to be clear about what you want. We got to be clear, because a lot of times we say we want things to be different, and we really don't. We want to have the conversation about it should be different, but you don't want to do the work. You don't want to go outside the box. Either, again, it's a woman. Oh, she's a woman. She's young. She's this. It doesn't make me a difference. I remember one of the actually current sitting council members had a little few choice words to say about me, called me a bee, said she thinks she knows everything. I said, well, you know what I know. You can't take that away from me. And so if you want to have that conversation, you've been sitting in this city for your whole life and watched it when it was majorative white and what it looked like in the city of trees, and it should have been the capital of the state. And you've been here the whole time to watch its deterioration. And you've been in leadership for at least 10 years of that time. So how dare you sit and then try to question what I know, because you've done nothing to sustain and maintain the greatness of this city, period. And if you want to know what backs me up, I can tell you what backs me up. If you want to know that, I take pride in that. I do the work. I've had the experience. I was an advanced team member for the White House under Clinton Gore. Me. I was director of communications for State Senator Vincent Hughes, who still serves right now in Philadelphia. Me. I have a couple other educational things that kind of play into it. I don't have to bring those up. Me. So do you think that I would be a non-factor for the betterment of a community when I've had national, international experiences to come back to this 2.9 miles right here? The 2.9 right here, son? You don't think I can figure out how to make this work? So I'm asking you. So with everything that's going on, we can't save ourselves. We don't remove ourselves out of the way. Ego, who we think we are, look around. I'm just saying, look around. If you feel that you were doing your best and selecting the best, you wouldn't have a problem that downtown is looking the way downtown is, because downtown's supposed to look that way. You're supposed to be happy that, guess what? The city's growing, the city's thriving, it's doing what it needs to do. And I'm a member, I'm glad to be in the number. That's what you're supposed to be saying. So let me make this wave work for me. As opposed to, oh, we not in it, they didn't include us, it ain't for us. Are you serious? Stop it. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is what you say. You want a thriving city. You want a place where people can come and it can create wealth and it makes it look good. That's what you said. But then you sat back and you didn't want to do the work. So it's like a diamond. Not everybody sees a diamond, right? So when you see it, it's a dusty, dull piece of coal. You don't want to shine it. You don't want to buff it. You don't want to do the work. You don't want to do that. And then when something happens and it starts radiating, now you want it. Oh, it's so nice and shiny and pretty. And you want it, but you didn't do the work to cultivate it, is what I'm saying. So there's something to be said. I've set the tone for us this morning. I'm going to go to all the lines now, because that's just what we do. You can't have a conversation. Well, I could have a conversation by myself, but that defeats the purpose. So thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
How you doing today, Miss Collette?
Amazing. How are you?
Well, first, all right. Beautiful show. First, I got to give a shout out to R.J. Watkins, Mr. Henry Tyler, rest in peace, J.D. Hill.
Absolutely.
Perry, man. All the other TV show, huh?
Yes.
Great show. Great show. I got to commend you on the spirit that you first came in when you started the show.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
And part of the prayer is, thank you for this beautiful day, beautiful love, beautiful life.
Yes.
That's what you were shown when you first came on your show today.
Mm-hmm.
I got to commend you for that.
Thank you.
And never let that go.
Yes, sir.
Because one of the mindset is, it's not about me fooling you or about you fooling me. It's about me not fooling myself.
Right.
And when you bless yourself with that, man, you don't listen to no more than nonsense out here. And you came on your show like that.
Yeah.
So you know I identify that. So thank you very much, dear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, yesterday, you had a show.
Yes.
You said, I said the concept is, if you look for good, find good. You look for bad, you find bad.
Okay.
You fulfilled that today.
Okay.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I guess you are listening to some of the tools of success, okay?
Well, I just try to believe. Well, wait, stay there, 8 Mile. Stay there. Stay there. So since I don't have your book, you won't come on the show and talk about it. So whatever, just the universe keeps me in tune. And so if it comes to me and it radiates with you, then that's just how it works, huh?
It works for me.
Okay. All right. All
okay.
Right. Sure.
So the thing is this, when you mentioned today about now the other aspects about our real community,
Okay.
like, for example, over 2 years ago, there's an individual by the name of Bush Sheffield that ran for that same job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? At that time, over 2 years ago, thank you, Mr. Sheffield,
Yes.
we never heard that congressman talk about nothing that was going on in Detroit.
Okay.
Okay? So
Okay.
that's one. But second, he represented something.
Okay.
It wasn't about profit. It wasn't about whatever his goals and mindset was. It wasn't about a member controlling his area. He
Okay.
just represented at a time when we needed representation.
Okay.
Now, mind you, the Democratic Party here in the city of Detroit have not done nothing to make no changes in the last 20 years.
Wait. I need you to stay right there. And I really want you all to get what he said. Have you wondered what the party is doing? And I'm just putting that out there. I want us to put that in universe as well. Do you all wonder what the party is doing? But okay, please continue your conversation.
Okay.
Okay.
So when Horry Sheffield ran,
Yeah.
first they changed the district. Now, how can downtown Detroit, Grosse Pointe, and Birmingham, Michigan all be in the same congressional district?
Sure. District.
How?
Just because they,
Because
they say
You're not
so.
speaking ill of the Congress.
Because they say
I'm
so.
just saying, there's nobody make no changes about that. That's like totally unreal for this district. Now, I learned this because at that time, I was and supported Horry Sheffield when he went to Congress.
Okay.
Now, mind you, did nobody speak about that?
Sure.
Okay. He did not have to make forth no effort based on the politics of the Marxist community.
Okay.
He won, unopposed. Okay? But now, he left because of allegations, and he was inspired to resign. Now, you know about laws, rules, and regulations.
Sure.
There's a difference between getting fired, laid off, or charged
Yeah.
to leave. He resigned. So he still gets some of his money.
Yeah. Say
He
that.
might not get all the money.
Say it.
He still
Say
gets
it.
some of it.
Say it. Now, let me just tell you. You know what, Amal? You hitting on some stuff this morning. Because maybe
Yeah.
the truth of it, all of
But
it is,
I got to
again.
finish the point, though.
Yeah, but stay right there.
The
Stay right
first
there.
thing that you said
Okay.
in the speech that John Connors said was he was denied due process.
Yes.
That's defensive. I said in the last 5 years, you've never seen him talk like that.
Okay.
You've seen his wife talk like that all day long. So here, you heard me say before, this is 2017. Okay, it doesn't matter what you think about the 70s, 80s, 90s.
Okay.
We have a president first came in and wrote 150 laws. He don't even know how to write laws. So we know it was he don't even know how to do speeches. So we know he had a speech writer, and we know it was somebody else that put these laws in his face, and he just signed them.
Sure.
Just like that speech for that 11. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't mind me. But right now, the main point that you brought up is this. This is 2017. He just resigned.
Yeah.
Who's going to replace him?
Yes.
I hope that God to see Detroit for Horry Sheffield in there.
Ah.
Even though he's a religious leader, he still know how to be about the people.
Ah.
And colorblind running the city. He does acknowledge the generational resident of our community.
Okay.
But other than that, don't be surprised. If we have a Republican congressman in this area, his mind, it's already history on record. We don't vote elected. 60,000 people can come in on their own initiative and take over the city.
Sure.
Remember that. And that ain't that many people for 142 square miles.
Right. Interesting. So we're going to have to watch this. We're going to have to watch all of it. I mean, at the top of the hour, I'm going to throw some names out. And they're not my, let me just say this. They're not my names. They're the names. There was an article, everyone. The Free Press did an article. Kathleen Gray, race for John Conyers' congressional seat, free for all predicted. So let me just throw out there real quickly. I'm going to get to the rest of you. Some of the names. Ian Conyers, Mary Sheffield, Brenda Lawrence, Rashida Tlaib, Chanel Jackson, David Kesnick, of course, Coleman Young, William Wild, Benny Napoleon. Now, those are some of the names that the article threw out with their pictures, right?
You want to know what's so funny about that?
What?
Why were all those people that look like me and you, like it's just an automatic mandate that somebody like me or you is going to take that office? You look at Congress right now. Everybody that's calling the shots in Congress do not look like me or you at all.
Well,
the only time we see people in the current administration and the current Congress are serving us or as Congressman was doing.
Well, be very clear. Let me just say this. Two of the individuals that are on this list, actually, three of them, they're not, two of them aren't people of color. They're white. Mayor Wild and Kesnick, they're white. Mayor Wild from William Wild from Westland, and this other gentleman, no, they're white. So this could be the open, there could be the open floodgates.
You know, the media control the mindset of the people here.
Okay. Well, this woman do, Mal. I appreciate the call. Thank you for setting it off for us.
Thank you. Got mad love for you.
Absolutely. Ditto. Thank you, sir. We'll connect today. So you've had it. I'm going to let you have some conversational points before we take a break, before we come back. So what are you thinking? Good morning. Are you there, caller?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Collette?
Amazing. How are you?
I just want to say that if you run for anything, I'm behind you. I'm not sure what position they wanted you for, but I'm behind you, and I'll do the work.
Ah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So therefore, what I'm going to say next may seem contradictory to that.
Okay.
But I am done with this system because hearing you speak this morning, I realize I don't know a lot of what's going on and what's happening and why it's happening and the whole political system. I'm done with it. I have been voting. I've been trying to do my civic duty and do the voting. And except for President Obama, I did vote for him twice.
Okay.
But except for that, it's not working. It's not working. It's not working for us, especially. And I'm considering myself out. Like I said, unless you run, because I don't know enough about all of this, and I try, but it's not working for me. It seems like no matter what happens, my vote and the votes of many people are not being counted, I just don't know what else to say. I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm done.
And this and this is what I want us to do. So maybe let's consider this. The position that they were discussing at the time was mayor for the city of Highland Park, for me. Let me just say that. But why don't we think about this? I think that there's more influence if we got together because collectively we can have the conversations. Collectively we can educate each other about what the roles and responsibilities are, and if indeed, to your point, the candidate that you believe should be the representation isn't voted in, we still have the power to get done what we want. See, a lot of times we disperse. I said it before in this last election that we had. Why didn't Attorney Deetta Wilcoxon? Why didn't Gilchrist? Why didn't Coleman Young? Why didn't they come? And those are just some of the names of the individuals who weren't selected. Why didn't they create a group among themselves? Because they have the experience and they have an expertise. Why didn't they create something that would bring power? We don't know how to do that. That's why you have the Koch brothers and you have all these people behind the scenes who are manipulating everything because they understand that they are the juice. When I create the money, I then infuse it into the legislation, and my money, my lobbying, gets you to do what I want you to do. So when Brother Tyrone yesterday talked about, the congressman ain't passed no bills and this, that, and the other, bills are passed with money. Bills are passed through influence. Do you think that there's a reason why insurance hasn't changed? It hasn't changed because the insurance companies and lobbyists have so much money that they throw into the PACs that give to the candidates so that their votes will be what they want them to be. Hello, you all.
Well, so, I understand all of that, Collette. I understand all of that.
So I don't want you to be out. I want us to be in.
And I've been watching.
No, right. I want you to be in.
I've been watching.
I want you to be in. I want you to be in.
It would be so wonderful if everything you just said could happen.
Yes.
But like you said, you went to the meeting and they said, who do you think you are? That's the attitude you're dealing with.
Yes.
Who do you think you are to try and bring us together, to try and be anything more than what they say you can be?
Right.
That's the attitude that we're dealing with here. in this city.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't know how to get around it. Perhaps you do. I don't know how to get around it. But I wish someone would tell me what that is.
Okay, you know what I suggest then? Wait, stay right there.
Thing now is just a step aside.
Okay, so I suggest then that we create what we want. Because sometimes what we want, it doesn't have anything to do with what they can do for us. It's knowing what we want. And a lot of times what we want isn't even on the agenda for them. When I mean them, it's those folks then who are elected into those positions who then become a part of that group. See, people want to believe that, oh, I can be this, I'm this community activist, and I'm so excited, and I want to be elected into this position. The community activist doesn't stay once you become a politician. People don't understand that. I know there'll be people that can call in and argue with me all day long and say, Collette, that's not true. No, it all changes. The community activist changes once you walk into the threshold of politics. You become a politician. So I'm just suggesting to us today that we can have a conversation and create a plan that can get us what we want aside from them. I want you to think about it. You don't have to have the answer for me right
Collette?
now.
Okay. Well, Collette, like I said, if you run, I'm there. I'm there for you, and I'm doing the work.
Okay.
But that's all I can tell you, and I thank you for coming on every week, giving me information. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you all. Everyone, this is what we're going to do. All the lines are lit. I'm up against a break, so I'm going to go to a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to continue the conversation, because we got a whole nother hour. It's more of Coffee and Conversation with Collette, and most importantly, you. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.